Hey, what's up guys, this is RyanSR2264 back again with another video for you guys, and this right here is the first Angry Birds plush toy I ever got. And this one bird led to a huge collection. Now, obviously I didn't grow up with all these plushies. Actually, most of them I bought recently. And some of them are actually quite rare and valuable. Who would have known? So, let's go over the plushies I really wanted as a kid but didn't grow up with. Let's first start with that one that's mostly covered, the Mighty Eagle. Alright, so let's talk about the Mighty Eagle. And holy smokes, is it huge! I mean, I don't even know how to do a good size comparison other than the fact that it's huge! So this is a normal 5-inch standard Angry Bird, so decent size, handheld, you can throw it real easily. This is the Mighty Eagle compared to me. This thing's huge! I cannot grasp, I can't even visualize how big this thing freaking is. It's huge, it is just massive. It is truly a Mighty Eagle. So this is the Mighty Eagle. There's a green bird for reference, and these are some of the largest things I own. Way bigger than Zurg. Godzilla came and put up a fight. The Mantis gets pretty close, but still huge. It's still tiny compared to it. Bowser, King of the Koopas, just obliterated by the Mighty Eagle. And last but not least, R2, my Galaxy's Edge R2D2. The Mighty Eagle is just huge. To me, this proves one thing. The Mighty Eagle would have been awesome at playtime. The pigs could have completely defeated the birds, and at the very last moment, that famous tuna can flies in. And then... So why did I never have it? Well, I think it comes down to two key reasons. And I actually own reason number one. If you ask my parents what I wanted in 2011, they could easily answer that question. This R2D2 toy. Now, the advertising made this thing look so awesome I just had to have it. I had dreams about having this and waking up realizing I didn't and being pissed in the morning. And man, I could not stop saying the praises of this thing. Unfortunately, the marketing got to me, and what I envisioned in my head was way cooler than this thing. And I ended up not really playing with it all that much. And even now, I actually don't really like this thing. It was cool, it was new, but it just didn't work like the commercials made it look. And the prospect of another 100 plus thing that was also pretty big, my parents weren't super interested in that. The other reason is undoubtedly the price tag. At $100, this giant plushie didn't look all that appealing to my parents, and they honestly thought that Angry Birds itself would be a fad and fade quickly from my memory. Fortunately, the game hasn't, and I've actually got one now. So, if I could go back in time, I'd easily tell myself, the heck with this piece of junk, you won't want this. You want that. Hell yeah, the Mighty Eagle. That's where it's at, man. Too bad DeLorean time machines don't really exist. Oh well. So overall, I love my Mighty Eagle plushie. This thing's huge, it's badass, it's an awesome item in the game that I love a lot. And it is the Mighty Eagle. Leader, or the most badass of all Angry Birds. Now on to the other things I always wanted. The other plushie I wanted was this bombird with a white dot. Now why is this bombird so important? It's because this is actually the original run of the Angry Birds, judging by the tag right here. And comparing it to what the tags went to, and then eventually the black ones. Also, you might have noticed that on one of my childhood bombirds, I actually painted a white dot on top of him to more accurate represent the original in-game model. And with my other bombird that I have from childhood, I painted him to look like the shock bombird from later in the game. And I decided to not paint a dot on him to be accurate to that as well. So, when I had the opportunity to get a bomber that resembled the original bombird, I went with this bootleg one right here. That is obviously crap, but I thought there's no way I'd actually get my hands on the official one. And then, behold, one day on eBay I'm scrolling and I find this bombird, and I bid on it and I won it. And it's awesome to have this piece of Angry Birds history in my collection. My only complaint is I didn't realize that it was going to be so big that it dwarfs my original two, but at the same time it's nice to have a bigger representation of it. So, awesome. Believe it or before we get into this next one, I just want to say, believe it or not, I wasn't the hugest fan of the Angry Birds Star Wars plush line. I know that's hard to believe, but I really wasn't. Don't get me wrong, the plushes have tons of detail on them, even Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, but the reason I personally didn't care for these characters is one plain simple fact. There was never a plush R2D2 to go along with it. And I'm sure there will be individuals who will say, well, technically, an R2D2 Star Wars... And I know there will be some people in the comment section going, well, there is an R2D2 Angry Birds Star Wars plush. It exists. Yeah, it exists. There's like 2 of them, and they're both prototypes. And honestly, as an adult looking back on this line, I think I lived without the R2D2. Honestly, it looks pretty ugly in my personal opinion, especially compared to this. Now, I understand this is more modern, this take apart Mattel R2D2. Far superior in design and everything. Now, why do I think they never made that one? I honestly have no idea. I think it has something to do with there was plush R2D2s already out on the market. Maybe it has to do with the license running out. Honestly, I have no idea. I think it's a mixture of those things, but anyways, regardless, there was a second line of the Angry Bird plushies that I wanted to get, but since there was no R2D2, but there was a C-3PO, I was like, I'll get him when the R2D2 comes out. The R2D2 never came out, and years later, I regretted never picking up the Luke Skywalker with Angry Birds Redbird Luke Skywalker with his X-Wing helmet on. I think this is an awesome design for the plush itself, and I think this is really cool looking. And now that I finally have it in my hands, it is an amazing plush. Now granted, this is the larger, I want to say 8-inch line, and this is the 5-inch line, but this is still cool regardless, and I think personally it's actually more in scale with the Mattel pop-apart R2D2. So, overall, I think it works out. And honestly, I think this is way cooler than the original Luke Skywalker plushie that they released. So, anyways, on to the final Angry Bird plushies that I never had as a kid, but I'm glad I finally have. I'm going to do my best to make this segment short and kind of rapid fire through some of these, because there isn't a whole lot to explain in these last ones. These are the rest of the plushies that I wish I wanted. So let's start with the giant Redbird. So this is the 12-inch giant Redbird plush. This is the 5-inch and 8-inch Angry Bird plushies. This thing is huge. Now, the reason I really wanted one of these is I did get the Redbird beanbag plush when I was little. I actually found this, I think, at like Costco or something. Don't get me wrong, this is cool, but it wasn't really inflated, you know, and I always thought about going back and inflating it, which I probably will with some stuffing or some beanbag stuffing or something. But I thought, you know what, I think I'd rather just buy another pre-made plush, and now I can finally have a decent rival for my giant pig plush. So, yeah, awesome. This is my original Greenbird plush. I got it Christmas of 2011 from my grandma, whom I love and adore. This is the first original version of the plush. And then they made this version, which is just like the original, but it's got a closed beak. And then a year later, they released this version with a closed beak and goofy look. And for some strange reason, this became the default version of the Greenbird. I have no idea why. Aren't these supposed to be the angry birds, not the confused looking birds? But it's nice to have a closed beak representation of my original Greenbird. And it's nice to see all three of these all together. But my favorite's definitely this one. Half of it does have to do with sentimental reasons, the other half has to do with the fact that its beak opens. Right. On to the next one. When I was growing up, this was my Angry Birds Rio collection. Now, I didn't really like the fact that Nigel was smaller than Blue, but Blue himself being bigger than Redbird what actually made sense in the game, so I didn't really mind. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember what this guy's name was. I did always want the chimpanzee, or I always wanted the Marmoset plush, and I always wanted the 5-inch versions, just because they were very iconic in a YouTube series I really enjoyed. So, recently, I found a lot of them. I finally own the red guy, Redbird plush guy from Rio, the 5-inch Blue, the 5-inch Jules, and the Pygmy Marmoset plush. And I think this looks like a pretty cool display. I just wish I could find that larger Jules plush, but it is buried in our stuff. Me and my sisters, so. Oof. Anyways, on to the final couple ones. In the Angry Birds game, the orange bird has the ability to go from this to a puffed up version. Not gonna lie, when I was younger, I thought this plush looked really goofy and ugly, so I didn't really pick him up, but semi-recently I wanted to complete the collection, so I finally picked up one of these guys. I finally got myself a pink bird. This is actually from the Angry Birds Stella plush line, but I thought honestly this plush looked a lot better than the other one that they released, and I never had a pink bird because it looked girly. And now I finally have one. For some strange reason, I always wanted to get my hands on a bootleg Redbird. There was something just, I don't know, weird about it that I liked. And I finally got my hands on one of these, and I made a whole video about it. Links will be in the description below. And last but not least, I always wanted myself a Christmas Redbird and a Halloween Redbird. I was actually going to pick a Halloween Redbird up at Walmart once, but my parents talked me out of it, and now I finally have a Christmas and Halloween Redbird. And I also made a separate video for that, those two guys, which will also be in the link in the description. Hopefully I can find it. And that completes my Angry Birds collection. So, yeah, those are all the plushies I wanted. And now, sitting back as a grown adult, am I glad that I finally tracked down all these plushes? Yeah, I would say I am. Looking back on this collection, I'm kind of happy with what I grew up with. And ultimately, I didn't really need all these plushies when I grew up. Ultimately, what I needed was my imagination. Anyways, guys, this is RNSR2264. Hashtag bring back 2012. Peace! And the Angry Birds live on.